Truk Lagoon is a major wreck diving destination, and we were there on board of the Odyssey. That's the view of the Odyssey, the boat, on a liveaboard for a week. And we also did a couple of days offshore diving from the Blue Lagoon Resort, and that's coming up. That green roof is the Blue Lagoon Resort. That's the view of the lagoon, the Truk Lagoon itself, and of course the main attractions are underwater. This is the two airplanes that we did. This is a Betty Bomber, one of the airplanes. It's in 20 meters of water. Very nice wreck with lots of artifacts around and lots of fish life around it as well. And the next one is a seaplane that is just coming up here now in 16 meters of water. Also, of course, very nice dive, shallow dive in 16 meters. Very interesting. Another interesting, unique dive is the submarine. This one is in 40 meters of water. It was very good visibility on the day we went there, and definitely a very interesting dive to do. And of course, the main attraction is all the shipwrecks. We did about 17 of them over our 10 days or so trip. And this is the bow and the gun on the bow of Unkai Maru. Most of the wrecks are between 100 to 150 meter in length, and they have various depths between 25 to say 40, 50 meters, all recreational, no really need for technical dives. So there are many locations where you can go into technical dives and deco dives. San Francisco Maru is sort of more of the famous one because of the attractions like the gun we just saw, and then there are three tanks on the deck. Deck is at about 50 meters, so it's very short bottom time. Really deco dive, but really worth it. And the superstructures on many of the wrecks are still intact, so you can swim through the galleys and the pathways where there is plenty of ambient light and variety of artifacts all around. But on quite a few ships, actually, the superstructures have already collapsed because, of course, it's already been 70 years or more since these ships were sank. And you can see how this gradual deterioration is going to continue. So this is really unique and amazing experience to be able to swim through and see all of the superstructures. Here, swimming through the chimney to the engine room. There are also very interesting wheel houses swims through you can do. We did it on 3 boats. You can see here that this is the wheel, there's still of it coming up, and this is the wheel, and this is the telegraphs that they were using to communicate from the wheelhouse to the engine room. Here is another wheel room on the Nippo Maru. Again, very similar setup. There's the wheel, and there is the telegraph. And one of the most pretty wrecks was the Shinkoku Maru with all the coral growth, amazing amount of soft coral growth. Though also it was probably one of the worst in terms of visibility. It's in the lagoon, and there's just somehow so much of the plankton around that probably why there is also so much of that soft coral. It's very beautiful and very nice moving. Once you're done with the superstructure, then there's lots of interesting things to see in the cargo holds. Most of the ships were supply ships, and they have all kinds of cargo in them. Here's the bits and pieces of airplane. There are lots of trucks, and here is the chassis and the tires. Amazingly, nothing apparently happens with the tires. They look still brand new after 70 years at the bottom of the ocean. Hoki Maru has all these trucks, which are really interesting in the cargo holds. They're very silty, so it's hard to take good pictures. Almost every wreck has a lot of beer and sake bottles. that is amazingly intact after all these explosions and sinking and all these years. Here on Rio de Janeiro Maru, they are actually still in the boxes. Boxes are decaying, but the bottles are in the neat rows. On most of the wrecks, it was possible to access the engine room. This is the top part of the engine room where there's plenty of ambient light, but also there are parts of them which are very dark. And we have a separate video on the engine rooms. And because of the depth we're on, like on most of the ships, we could see the propellers of the boats. And this one was very nice on Gosei Maru because it's lying on the side, and the propeller was actually only at about 6 meters depth, with lots of coral you can see here, and very rich fish, marine life all around the prop. Makes a very nice safety stop. This is still on the same boat. The fish life is very rich. This is a cod, and this is a Napoleon wrasse, a fairly large one, on one of the wrecks. We also were lucky to see the sharks, but unfortunately sharks were on Shinkoku Maru, the boat with the worst visibility we had. This I'm told that there's 3 males that were actually mating with this one, and that's why she's all scratched up, also on the same wreck, but it was really cool to see the sharks on these wrecks. Lots of schools of fish, all kinds of variety. Here you can see the big eye mackerel, big mouth mackerel feeding. And here is the juvenile jackfish, very large school, actually it was right next to the submarine. And here are the adult jackfish, a fairly large school. And actually this is one of the safety stops again. Often the safety stop is at the top of the mast of the racks if they're upright, and so while hanging at the top you can have this nice show of the fish chasing and hunting each other. Here the visibility is superb, as you can see, and actually there was quite a variation in terms of the visibility and conditions, and also the coral cover on all of the boats. But really it was quite an impressive, amazing diving on the Truk Lagoon. So there is more on our website at divingmore.com. Thank you for watching.